What happens when the very system designed to save lives fails? This is the story of Debra Stevens, a 47-year-old woman who made a desperate 911 call while trapped in floodwaters in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Tragically, her cry for help ended not with rescue, but with heartbreaking tragedy. As we dive into the chilling details of her final moments and the dispatcher's controversial response, we'll explore the critical failures in this incident and the broader implications for emergency response systems. On the morning of August 24, 2019, torrential rains turned Fort Smith streets into rivers. Debra Stevens was out delivering newspapers, a job she'd been doing for years. But that morning, her routine turned deadly. Driving her SUV through what she assumed was a shallow puddle, she found herself trapped in waters that rose alarmingly fast. The current was just too strong, and her vehicle began floating. Panic set in. Debra dialed 911, hoping for immediate help. What she encountered, however, was far from the life-saving support she needed. Debra's voice was filled with fear as she explained her situation to the dispatcher, Donna Renault. She was in chest-deep water, unable to escape her car, and it was filling rapidly. However, the tone of the conversation took an unexpected turn. Instead of reassurance, Renault's responses were cold and dismissive. At one point, she even said, "This will teach you. Next time, don't drive in the water." This dispatcher seemed to lack empathy, repeatedly reminding Debra that panicking would not help, even stating, "I don't know why you're freaking out." Despite Debra's pleas and the descriptions of how the water was rising around her, the urgency in her voice wasn't matched by the response. Rescue teams were dispatched, but time was running out. As Debra stayed on the line, the water continued to rise. She tried to remain calm, but her fear of drowning was palpable. She was begging for help, asking why no one was coming. First responders were hindered by the severity of the flooding, making it difficult to locate her vehicle. By the time they arrived, it was too late. Debra Stevens drowned inside her SUV just minutes after her call ended. Her death sent shockwaves through the community, not only because of the tragedy, but because of how the way she was treated during her final moments. At the time of the call, Renault was working her last shift before leaving the department. Some argue that her attitude was reflective of burnout, while others point to a lack of proper training or compassion. In her defense, Renault did dispatch help and repeatedly advised Debra to calm down, which is standard protocol. However, her tone and dismissive remarks overshadowed these efforts. The city of Fort Smith stood by Renault, stating that she had not violated protocol. This stance sparked widespread debate about what constitutes acceptable behavior in emergency situations. News of Debra's death and the 911 call audio ignited outrage across the country. Many criticized the dispatcher for her perceived lack of empathy, while others called for systemic changes in emergency response protocols. Even experts weighed in, highlighting the importance of training dispatchers not only in technical procedures, but also in emotional intelligence. Handling high-stress situations with compassion can make a significant difference, especially for individuals in distress. The incident also prompted discussions about accountability. Should Renault face consequences? Or was the system itself to blame for failing Debra? In the aftermath of Debra Stevens' tragic drowning, the Fort Smith Police Department conducted an internal review that led to several recommended changes to their 911 operations. The review suggested the following improvements. Hiring process. implementing a documented hiring process for 911 operators to ensure consistency and thorough evaluation of candidates. Staffing levels. Adding 2 additional 911 operators to align with the 2018 staffing analysis, aiming to reduce call center overwhelm during emergencies. Interview procedures. Establishing a panel of experienced 911 operators to develop standardized interview questions for new candidates, enhancing the selection process. Supervision. Recruiting at least 3 supervisors for the 911 call center to ensure supervisory presence at all times, particularly during severe weather events. And training. Encouraging operators to undertake training courses focused on flash floods and swift water situations to better understand the dynamics and hazards of such emergencies. These recommendations aimed to address the challenges faced during the incident, such as the overwhelming number of calls and the lack of specialized training for handling flood-related emergencies. While these recommendations were put forward, specific details about their implementation and the current status of these changes were not available. The incident highlighted the importance of proper training and adequate staffing in emergency response situations, prompting the department to consider these improvements to better serve the community in future emergencies. Debra Stevens' story is more than just a tragedy, it's a wake-up call. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the systems we rely on in life or death situations. Could Debra's life have been saved with a quicker response or more empathetic communication? And how can we ensure that such tragedies don't happen again? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button and tap that bell icon to get notified every time we post a new story. I'm Derek, and I'll see you in the next one.